Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to do a reading today around these current energies that we're in. I know a lot of us are feeling things to be really, really different. A lot of sort of like formless, um, changing energies, just trying to get our bearings and get our new marching orders or, that kind of thing. So I'm going to just dive in and trust that whatever comes through will be right for whoever is choosing to listen today. So, all right, let's see the first. Oh, wow. Okay, so Snake Spirit, time to heal, and that is a 55 card. So that's a big card of change, exactly, and that's definitely what I'm feeling. It's almost like we've reached a new level of healing with it's like shifted the gears or like changed things completely, where we've crossed some kind of threshold and are in some new land, a level of consciousness that we're able to reach because of a level of integration that we haven't had before. It just feels really, really new. And it seems like a lot of people are feeling that, or at least the people that I kind of commune with and connect with. So let's see what else here. Oh yeah, the Hierophant. Okay, so I read the Hierophant. I know a lot of the traditional meaning of the Hierophant is like, law and order and, institutions and rules. I read it as divine order. It just has come through that way for me with the decks that I have. This one included where there's sort of like, the cosmic law on the chalkboard, and he's sort of like showing what it is. It's like that glimpse behind the scenes where there's something. Also being a major arcana, there's a bit of a node point involved here where we've reached a certain level, in our human journey and human evolution, where the gears are turning, things are changing again. There's a level of healing and a level of alchemy that's possible now that wasn't before. It's written. This to me is a card of like it's written. This is the time. There's cosmic support for what we're going through. So even people that might not have been at the front of the wave, like doing all the alchemies and sniffing them out before they came and raising their hand and, just kind of being like a front runner and pushing that threshold. It's reaching everyone. These are very young souls. These are, students, they're not, they're not at the front of the classroom. And yet, there is, even watching this imagery here with this light that's shining through. It's like the light and the changes that are happening galactically, cosmically, astrologically, in terms of the cycle and the ages and the divine timing of now is reaching everyone. All of humanity is going through a deep, profound healing and awakening to whatever degree you're ready for. Okay, let's see here. We got two cards. The Nine of Pentacles. Oh, yeah, exactly. So the Nine of Pentacles and the Death and Rebirth card. So this is a card of having everything that you need. You're good on your own. You're poised to receive. What are you poised to receive? You're poised to receive your rebirth, your death, your ego death, that transformation out of the program and out of the tapes that you've been running in your mind to survive the fuckery of this realm. It's like, if all there was distortion and we weren't far enough along on this journey for everyone to be affected, we have to have our survival techniques. We have to have our little personality games that we play to like make it through. But this is a time when that rebirth and that death is it's written. It's time to heal. It's time to go the whole way. It's time for the big change, the 5-5, the big shakeup where everything is falling off. But that's the point. Things are falling off, and we're ready for this. So that death energy, and I had to restart this reading a couple times because my neighbor is doing some kind of work, and he's like drilling into the stucco in his house. I don't know if you can hear it. I think he's on like another side of the house now, but it was really loud, and I'm tonal and I'm like listening for my channel, so I kept having to stop the video, and I thought he was done, but I hear him again. So hopefully I'll be able to just keep going and plow through. But anyway, that death energy where things are falling away, so much is falling away, and that can be our identities, that can be things that used to really work for us, where like just it was just sort of a groove that we were in that helped us to move through in our lives. 13, the death card is a number 13 card. There's that divine feminine energy again as well that I always bring up in all the readings, because that is the rebirth that we're coming into, is more of the soul, the unknown, the present moment, the birthing, the creation energy, where we're birthing through our hearts in the moment. We're not running tapes, we're not running programs, we're not running conditioning, we're not living from the mind. This shift of the ages is moving into our hearts and allowing our hearts in the present moment to guide us. So that is a very different energy. There is a death in that. It's the death of the ego. It's the death of the program. It's the death of the rogue masculine that forgets to check in with the soul to see what the present moment is saying, what is being called for in this moment. You know, the reverence and the honoring and the reverence of the sacredness of every moment, and being present and feeling into what is called for now, what is birthing, seeing every moment as a death and a rebirth, where the old is gone. What is birthing now through the portal of my presence, through the portal of the presence of my heart, being in my heart, not in the program, not in my mind, not in the past. So it's kind of like and we're ready for this. Again, we're ready for this, but it is an intense energy. It's an intense energy, and it's kind of like whatever is not in alignment with it can't stay. It's going to be stripped away. It's going to be taken from you, or you're going to have to step away from it, or whatever it is. It's like if it's not moving in the direction of that heart center, that heart opening, that birthing in the moment, co-creatively with others, or with yourself, or with the air, or with the the information, the constellation of whatever's going on in your hologram, in your life, an honoring of every little piece, and the lessons and the evolution that's bringing you. If there are any of the old energy playing, the rote energy, the conditioned energy, it's gonna feel weird. You're gonna have, it's like the point is that we have to flow and be in our heart. So that was a little bit of a channel. That is definitely the energy that I've been feeling myself in, and almost like where there's a little bit of hesitation, because I don't want to do anything in the old energy, or it's almost like I can't, because it kind of like jars me up, where my soul won't let me do anything that has an old energetic signature to it. And by old, I just mean denser or outdated, or something that humanity or ourselves are evolving past. If there's any remnants of an old version of ourselves, or a less expanded version of ourselves, hey Ernie, I'm doing a reading. Then it's just going to feel really, really constrictive. So again, the snake, and of course we are in the year of the snake. So I just remembered. So that's really interesting that came up. But again, it's like, when we've already shed that skin, we can't put it back on. We can't go backwards. It's going to feel really, really uncomfortable. So that's interesting. We might want to, and I think this is kind of going on the world scale as well. There are a lot of changes happening, and a lot of people are really resistant. They're resistant, but remembering that these are destined changes, even if we don't agree with them, or even if we have our mental judgments or whatever. It's like, we're moving forward in the way that we need to heal. And I was talking about this with some people today, where that, like, we're untying a really big knot, and sometimes to untie a knot, you have to go backwards. You have to seemingly go backwards to get it to come back around, and that there's lots and lots of levels and layers that are being untied and are being tended to. And again, it's like this. Like, look at all this. This is all this. We might just be seeing this one thing, this one tiny thing, and judging from our minds and our limited views from that perspective. But there's all this woven in that we don't see. So it's just trusting. It's trusting the unraveling in our own lives and on the world scale, and getting into that position of surrender, getting into that position of flow, and just allowing and trusting and knowing that it's all for us, even though it might not feel good, or it might not be what we want, or we might have judgments on it, or it might, it just might look really different. Allowing that process, because it is about healing, and it is about shedding, and it is about a rebirth. And with a rebirth comes a death. We have to go through the death. So that have been coming up in a lot of the readings. We have to go through the dark to get to the light. We have to go through the dark to get to the light. We have to go through everything. We have to experience it all. I mean, a true definition of light or truth would be wholeness, and that means that we can't have anything separated out. We have to walk it, and we have to embrace it all, because we're here to experience it all. That's the human journey, is to experience polarity and to experience all the different things we can experience. So getting out of the mind judgments of right and wrong and black and white and this and that, and right. and allowing ourselves to flow, getting into that flow state, again, that divine feminine energy where the mother embraces all, the mother is unconditional. And so that's something, I can't remember if I said it in this or in the other reading that I had to stop because of the noise, but just that real feminine, like open-hearted energy where you're just like I find myself when I breathe, I feel it through my heart. I feel like there's like a literal portal going on, you know, where there's just this steadiness no matter what you're moving through. And I think that is the sort of evolutionary cusp, the cusp, what we're being asked and invited to move into, and acclimating to more and more, living in that way. And so for me, again, you know, and I think a lot of us are feeling this, it's like, again, with like going back to the old skin, it's like it feels wrong to not be doing something that's really in the present moment from the heart, because we are going through a rebirth and evolutionary process, and there is a lot of death energy, and it's like we want to be with the rebirth. You know, we want to be going in the right direction. We want to be flowing with it and allowing it and saying yes to it and moving with it. And again, we're ready for this, and it's written on our souls, and it's written in the divine timing of now. So a lot of support in that, where I think, again, a lot of people that maybe before were holding on really tightly, or just weren't, you know, like a horse at the gate waiting to bust into new territory. They're being taken through anyway. They're being taken through because of the energies going on right now. So, okay. So let me do another card, and then I'll do another tarot, and then some oracle, 11 minutes. The Seven of Pentacles. So that's a card of process. It's also a card of inevitability, where we're moving through something and we're at a certain phase. You know, we're going from here to here. You plant. I always give this analogy with this card. You plant the seed, you water it, you give it sun. It's most likely going to come up, and then you want to be gentle with it because it's delicate, and then it grows more, and eventually it flowers, and then it sees. And you know, just that whole process, the whole process of life. We're in a process right now that is natural, and again, we are written with it. We know how to do this. This was coming up. This comes up in a lot of the readings. I think it came up in the last one that we know how to do this. We have everything that we need. And it is kind of like a metamorphosis type of energy, in a way where the caterpillar is coated with the imaginal discs. You know, he knows how to become a butterfly. He doesn't have to think about it. He doesn't have to plan it out or scheme or try to figure it out. It just happens. It's like that. We are at this point in evolution. The death rebirth is like that. The death of the caterpillar and the birth into the butterfly. It's a completely different form. And so I think we are kind of on the cusp of feeling that. Some of us are feeling it first, where it's like, oh my gosh, we're being asked to do everything differently, and just that extreme amount of surrender and staying in the heart seems to be the way to move through easier, to move through faster, to get to a more even point. For me, I've been feeling a little bit of confusion and uncertainty, and it was definitely doing a lot of death and shedding and remembering and awakening energy. I was talking about that in the last reading, and then I kind of stabilized on this new thing, and that's where I've been just figuring out or allowing it to emerge and to show me who I am now, who I am, and what I'm doing. And I have had to move away from some things just to give myself space, to grow into the new energy that I'm in. It's almost like maybe we were like our skin was really tight. You know, our skin was tight, and then we shed the skin, and now we're bigger and we have more room, and we can kind of like stretch out. But that extra room can make us feel a little bit vulnerable and a little bit what's the word? I guess it's vulnerable. Yeah, vulnerable, tender, raw, a little bit shy, a little bit like uncertain, because you're like, oh, I'm not used to all this space, you know, and just acclimating to it, and allowing our energy to fill out that space where we can recognize ourselves in the energy around us. You know, there's an acclimation period going on, and it's a process, and just knowing that it's a process, and knowing that if you are feeling kind of strange or uncertain, or like, I don't know where I am, like I don't really feel like myself. I know I'm not going backwards. I know I'm not going backwards to this, but I don't know where I'm going. And I've done these before, but this one feels really different. And, you know, if you are feeling like that, the message coming through is really just to honor that, you know, honor that unformed. And again, this was coming up in a session that I was doing yesterday as well. It's that divine feminine energy, where the feminine energy is that void space, that birthing space, the unformed. You know, it'll stretch out, you know, it'll just, without a container, it'll just keep going and going and going and going. And so in a sense, it's like providing a container for ourselves where it's like, and that's actually part of what these videos I like to do in them, is to talk about things that are subtle, that are a little behind the radar, so that we can become aware of them. Talking about the more the feminine energy, because it's unseen, and we're just focused in the outer world, and we're programmed in the outer world, and all this like really amazing magical stuff goes on behind the scenes that we don't even notice. But when we can put our attention on it and kind of give it a container, we can feel more steady, and we can move through these processes more gracefully and more consciously, and then we can enjoy them. You can go through them asleep and not even know that they're happening to you, but you can also you can learn to read this language where you can read the board and understand what's going on in a sense. You can understand the gist of it, not in a linear like understanding every little bit of it and being in control, but we can understand that the point is to not be in control, to not be clear, to not understand, and to at least understand that, and to give that a container and know that that's part of the process, and that, to include the feminine ways. And so this was coming up in that session I was talking about yesterday, to include that the feminine unformed birthing energy is part of evolution. It's part of true living. Again, to truly be alive and to be on the cusp of evolution, we have to embrace it all. And we have the light and the dark, we have the formed and the unformed, we have all the different polarities, and to not reject any of them as bad, to not separate anything off, but to be present with and to allow all of it. And there's great birthing in that. Okay, so let me do Goddess of the Moon Oracle card here. Fear. Yeah, and that definitely can kick up some fear, because again, we're trained to feel that we are supposed to be in control, that we're supposed to know what's going on, and if we don't know what's going on and things are and you can see in there's that vulnerability where she's naked, she's here in the light, she's with the light, and she's completely held, and she has this bubble of protection, but she just feels vulnerable. She feels like she kind of wants to curl away, and there's fear that's kicked up in cages, and all the things that can come when we don't feel safe, or we don't feel in control, or we don't feel like we know what we're doing, we don't feel like the helm in our lives, and we can want to recoil, or we can spiral out into distortions. But just knowing that is the birthing space. It almost looks like an egg, where you are birthing into something new, and knowing that birth, it's like what I was saying, like that we have to get to the light, we have to go through the dark. You have to dissolve, you have to go to the opposite polarity to have them both together. And again, just putting our attention on and acknowledging that that's how it works. That's true living. We've been programmed to go in a linear way, and to be in these cages, and to stay tethered to somebody else's concept or idea of what's real and true. And we're very, very limited in that. We have this opportunity, this evolutionary trend we can hop on whenever we want. We can kind of get sucked along unconsciously, or we can grab the reins and really partake of it. We can partake whatever part of the process we want to come along in. We can be on that cutting edge if we want, and a lot of us are called to do that and to forge the way, but also to bring awareness of what's going on, and how it's perfectly there's the sun and the moon, and it's perfectly safe to surrender to the dark, to surrender to the process, to surrender to the unformed, and to know that you are being taken. It's like we have an imaginal discs too, that are taking us to our new human, to our quantum human, to our heart-based human, our organic human. We know how to do this. We've forgotten, and we've been programmed in fear, but it's still it's time again. It's time to heal, and this is the node point, and it's written for us, and so it's safe. It's safe even if it feels unsafe, or feels a bit strange, or kicks up a lot of emotions, or fears, or grief, or loss, or whatever it is. It's all part of it. It's all part of I dropped half that deck. It's all part of the journey. It's all part of the journey of coming home to the truth, out of the program, And it's messy. So connection, yeah, there's that connection, and that where one meets another, and that third energy between the two. So the above and the below, the masculine and the feminine within us, the dark and the light, and when you put them together, you have that neutrality and that 0 point field where you move into creation. And then we're creating, which is what we were meant to do in this realm. We were meant to do it, and we're meant to do it at this time. Again, it's written on the wall. The writing is written on the wall. Oh, this reminds me of a dream that I had. I was in a classroom. This was a while ago, and there was a teacher, and he was a man, and he was speaking, and he said something, and I said, I couldn't hear what he said, and I wanted to know what it was. I wanted to know what it was that he said, and I knew that other people wanted to know too, because they couldn't hear what it was. So I asked him what it was, and he answered me in my mind. And I thought, well, other people want to know too. So I got up and I wrote whatever it was on the board, and I can't remember what it was. But I remember I had to jump up really high. To reach the board for some reason, because I wanted to have consistency in the letters. I'm not remembering this dream really well, but I started laughing because I was jumping, and while I was jumping, I felt like a child. And there was this whole evolution in it where it's like that access to the information through the play and through the collaboration, and just kind of showing up and knowing that, like, you can find this information and you can move into it, and you can embrace it, and you can engage with it. Like, if you don't know and you can't hear, you don't have to just close your eyes to it. You can keep engaging and keep moving forward through your heart, and the information coming through openness, and coming through play, and coming through being willing to be vulnerable, and being willing to not know, right? Something like that. Okay. But again, that third energy also, which is interesting, it's like the mother, father, and child. The thing that is birth is often represented as the child, and the inner child within us, and the playfulness, and that beginner's mind, and that being willing and accepting of the fact that to do something new and to birth something new, we have to be in that I don't know space. We have to be there, and it is like the child, and yet again the child is closer to the cosmic language than we are as adults, because they don't have as many veils, and they don't have, we often come in remembrant. And so a lot there with that third energy that's created, the balancing of the polarities, the embracing it all, that third energy that's created in that 0 point field and that neutrality. Okay, so let me pull another oracle here. Okay, so we get 2 cards. Oh yeah, there she is. All right, so 2 cards. We get the Story Keeper and the Devouring Mother. So the Story Keeper, that's what I was just talking about, the part of us that has it. It's encoded in our DNA. We already have the script. We know how to do it. But the Devouring Mother is the distortion in our energy that comes from that programming where, and this can be like, goes along with this I was wondering if a card like this might come out, where we start to, we're going through this metamorphosis. We're going into an unknown space. We're aligning, we're going through our healings, and we're dissolving, and we're coming into that 0 point field where everything kind of melts, but it births something new. It can kick up this fear. And this is when we spin out into distortion, and we try to control, and we might be judging ourselves, and we might be judging others, and we might be, just kind of spinning out. And that's very, natural as well, especially with all the hijacks that we've had in this realm and the conditioning that we've had. It's very hard to just flow with the cycles and to flow with the process, which is natural and we are encoded with, and allowing, we get clogged up on the fear that we've been programmed with, and we spin out into this distorted energy. And so the name of the game is really to remember that we do hold this, and we do know how to do it, and to, when we're not resisting anything, and we're not jamming up against stuff, and we can just allow it to flow. If something needs to leave, let it leave. If something's coming in and it scares you but you feel it, then let it come in. Whatever it is, just allowing. And even if you feel very vulnerable and uncertain, just knowing that you are held, and you're protected, and you're held and protected by the naturalness of this process. It's like snakes shed their skin and expand all the time. It's such a perfect analogy, where it's just a natural part of life, and it happens over and over and over again, and we have everything that we need, and we don't need to fear it, just because we've been programmed to think that everything's supposed to be linear without any kind of death involved, without any kind of process or pain or loss or and not moving into this kind of control energy. But then even if we do, then it becomes a lesson, and we get to observe ourselves, and we get to think, oh man, I wish I would have done that a little bit better. And we become aware of it. And so it's all part of it. Even this is part of that darkness that we're clearing, just embracing it all, allowing the book or the movie of life to play out, just reading it. It's our epic adventure. And we're here for it, and just trusting it all. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So we get the card Romance. So there it is, the two flames. And of course we could read this as, because outer union, outer relationship is a reflection of our inner relationship. So these two flames being in equal balance. So again, that third energy that comes out of two, whether it's two people that are, are coming together and creating a third energy, or that third energy that's created within yourself, whatever your outer mirror is in your romantic relationships or intimacies, is going to be a reflection of yourself. So you're learning. It's an opportunity to learn about yourself, whatever codes they carry that bring up memories in you, or activate things in you, or bring up nightmares, or whatever it is. You're receiving more of yourself. You're dancing with your own mirror, your own shadow, and you're discovering things. And you're birthing from that energy. You're birthing a new you. And sometimes in that collaboration, or in merging with that other energy that's a reflection of yourself, and you gain more of yourself, then you change and you up level. You might shed, and you might move through these connections quite quickly, because if you are sort of at the cusp of your evolution, and you're viewing it through the eyes of death and rebirth, and claiming and shedding, then somebody might come into your life to assist you with a certain passage. And then once you move through, then you part ways, and just accept that as well, because I know we're also really conditioned into using this word as connection, where if we connect with somebody or something, then we have to, we're not allowed to grow or change. We're not allowed to grow or change, and some of us grow and change really quickly, and we move through things very quickly. We might move through different jobs quickly, or not have jobs at all, or move towns, or move houses, or it's like we need a lot of information. We need a lot of this Vesica Pisces. We need to change, because we're really here to grow and to birth ourselves, and to have experiences that bring us home, where we can move into more of cosmic law, and just aligning with your soul, and allowing yourself to stay with what is taking you there. And when it's time to shed, when the skin starts to feel too tight, then to just let it shed, and to honor your journey, and knowing that even in romance there's conditioning, and there's a lot of limitation. Again, these cages, and the things that you think you have to do, and yet the true purpose of any kind of connection or outer reflection is, it's a reflection of you, and it's showing who you are. And the point being to come home to ourselves, and to bring back our pieces, so that we can be more whole. And so what we're creating from ourselves, again, there's that third energy we're creating from that heart space, and we're moving forward in our journeys, and honoring that journey, and all the deaths and births that come along with it. So some of you might be relating to that, when we, a friend and I were talking the other day, and she was talking about, like, when you get guided in a certain direction, and then all of a sudden you're not guided there anymore, and it's like you move towards it, and then the timeline collapses, and then something else appears. And it's like, I had a friend that used to say to me years ago, she was Tibetan Buddhist, and she would say, the lamas say, to truly live the path of Dharma, you would look like a crazy person, because it's not linear. It's you're doing a dance, and it doesn't always make sense to you or to other people, but to know that it really is your script, and it's your story, and to just honor it all, even the messy bits, or the bits that don't make sense, honoring the disillusion, the dissolving, the death parts, the reforming. And I think there's a lot of that going on right now, and I don't think we're very comfortable with that. I was really into Rudolf Steiner when my kids were little. I was doing Waldorf education for them, and I was just always reading about him, and I so resonate with his worldview. It is my own. I wasn't learning from him, I was remembering. I was resonating. And one of the exercises that he had in one of his books that I was reading, you had to stare at something that was dying. I think I talked about this recently, actually. I probably did. It's just an analogy I use a lot. You stare at something that's dying. So like I would look at one of my plants and the leaf would be yellow. And normally I always trim them up and I pull them off. And part of it's because it helps the plant. And part of it's because, it just looks better. It's just bad feng shui. But then you would look at something growing, but you looked at the thing that was dying, and I chose plants because I always had some yellowing leaves or whatever. You couldn't pluck it off. You had to just sit and meditate with it. And I saw how uncomfortable I was with that process, even though it's so natural and it's here and it's all around us. But just allowing it all to be there without resistance, and the meditation and the practice in that, we get a lot of practice at it because there always are things, something bursts, it blooms, and then it goes to seed, and then it dies. And it's just, we can guarantee that's the cycle. It's gonna happen, and we can prepare for that, and we can still have whatever emotions or feelings that we have, and we can honor those as well, because that's part of the process. But to be as graceful with the endings and the beginnings as possible, knowing that underneath all of it is this evolutionary trend and this healing and this holding of ourselves, and the book of our lives. So, okay, that was 30 minutes. I'm going to pull a closing message. I'm going to do a goddess card. I haven't done a goddess card yet. Yeah, I didn't use all my decks, but that's okay. I do not have to. Okay. Oh, interesting, Bridget, creative spark. So that's exactly right. That's what I kept talking about with that third energy, and even that kind of tangent I went on about my dream, where it was like the childlike part of me that was lit up and felt fine to not know, and to be learning, and to be trying to record, and but the creative spark, that third energy, that playfulness. Look at her, she's in her mirth, and she's playing in life. And so I do feel that behind all this sort of like dissolving and death and rebirth energy is creation energy, because again, it's when we're in that 0 point field, where the two polarities, we're with the birth, we're with the death, we're allowing it all. There's something that happens through that portal, again, the portal of the heart, being in that present moment, and that creation energy that coming through in the moment, staying in the moment, staying in our hearts, to birth through ourselves, to birth through our alignment that we've been earning and shedding for, and healing and reclaiming. And so that's very much what we have to look forward to, this creation energy that a lot of us are feeling. Feels a little strange right now, but we're going to be getting used to this, and we're going to be getting further and further out from this kind of programmed energy and this kind of programmed response. Now, of course, a lot of people are still in this. It's all around us. We're feeling it. But for those of us that can hold that heart center in that 0 point field, and to move through with that creative spark, we are bringing in the new. We're walking the new forward, and we're doing our part. Everybody's doing whatever part they're meant to play. But for those of us that have signed up, or are finding ourselves resonating with this kind of perspective, we're here to create the new. We're here to create the new, and we're doing it by creating ourselves first, bringing ourselves back home, and living from that alignment. So I hope that was helpful. I'm glad that noise didn't come back too strongly, and I was able to finish that reading. I need to go back and see if I made sense, because I am in sort of that watery formless realm right now. So I don't know if my left brain translated my right brain very well. But thank you for listening if you made it this far, and much love to you and your journey, and this time of shifting times, shifting ways of being, and coming home to our hearts, and welcoming in more of that feminine energy that's been cast out for so long, and making peace with it all. So, okay, I'll see you next time with you. Bye-bye.